This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Data's just not feeling it.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show that might now secretly just be about the Russo-Turkish War in the late 1800s. Because I don't know why my mind goes to these places with these episodes. I am Gepwin. I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host Dr. Izix.
Hi.
And this week we continue the family arc. Because we for some reason have a bunch of family episodes all in a row here.
Related to family in various ways. Last time it was a couple brothers hanging out, and
now it's a couple brothers hanging out.
Yeah, and there's a secret dad involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so like we knew about him, but
we thought he was like dead. No, it's not Picard's dad.
Sorry, I'm just rereading through some of the we have 5 episodes that are about family. I think we don't get out of the family thing until we get to Future Imperfect.
I guess buckle in, folks. We're familying it up for a bit.
Nope, never mind. That one's family too. Final mission. Sorry, now I'm just like, when do we stop having family themes this season?
I guess Final Mission could be seen as family because it's like surrogate dad thing.
Yeah, that one gets iffy.
Yeah.
Okay, Loss. What we got here?
This is Troy loses her empathic abilities and, has to do her job without those.
Okay, there we go. That's not family. That's ableism.
Yes.
Hooray, we did it.
Though I do wonder if some of the counseling has to do with family matters. I forget. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Anyway, that's like the next 6 episodes. If we don't talk about family that much, that's why, because we have 6 more episodes of this.
Oh, it might come up tangentially.
So this episode is about brothers of all stripes. It wasn't originally. It was originally about just the one set of brothers.
Yes, the Potts brothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Who we've never heard from before and we will never see again.
But that's okay. They're not very interesting.
So this episode was written by Rick Berman, who we've mentioned because he's been the executive producer and writer, etc., and he's going to take over after Roddenberry steps down. So he's basically in charge of everything until we get to Star Trek Enterprise,
where finally he kind of leaves and then comes back for the last episode. So
yeah, all of the worst bits. And we have a couple of guest stars who are mostly those Potts twins. They're not twins; they're just brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah. As an only child in my head, there's not a lot of distinction between siblings and twins. It's like y'all are just multiple children to me.
Yes. You might as well be twins, just fraternal-ish, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Anyway, we got Corey Dansker as Jake Potts. He was a notable child actor already. He was Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher's kid in The Burbs.
Oh, yeah.
Now he works in music and runs a company that makes political t-shirts.
Wait, does that mean we can get political t-shirts from him?
Probably.
Are these t-shirts going to help lead us to a better tomorrow?
I mean, nothing's going to, but at least you can wear them.
Well, maybe we could lead while wearing the shirts to a better tomorrow.
Yeah, except we work in audio, so it doesn't really matter which t-shirts we're wearing.
That's a good point. Oh, yeah, he's in Erie, Indiana for 1 episode.
And we also have Adam Ryan, who was playing Willie Potts. He was also a child actor, obviously. Through the 90s, he was in films like Child's Play 2 and voiced the kid in The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, he transitioned into writing for several different TV shows.
Holmes. I don't know what that's supposed
Which
to be
Holmes?
about. Yeah. Of Dr. Jorgen Holm. Okay, so it's not a Sherlock Holmes thing.
It might be.
Sherlock is more Norwegian and a doctor?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've had that. That's like House, but
Yeah.
just because it's a Sherlock Holmes spin-off or remake doesn't mean that it's got a guy named Holmes in it.
Carl and Company. Two guys works in a house with a reparator. Then the guys go to get crazy. What?
So yeah, that's all the guest stars except for the thing that they do where they make Brent Spiner play multiple characters so that they don't have to bring on more guest stars.
Yep. The easiest way to bottle episode. So Brent Spiner playing Data, playing Brent Spiner playing other Data-related characters.
Yep. Because there's something just like when you have the robots, okay, like, the robots look the same, makes sense, they're robots. Mm-hmm. There is something genetically wrong with this family once you start getting to the humans.
Yes. But have I shared my fan theory there?
Something about cloning, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that after the one in the early 21st century, they just kept cloning themselves.
Yeah, I think that they just had lazy writers.
Well, that too.
My fan theory is lazy writers. We've gotten to the age of storytelling where we value a callback over legibility.
Yeah, which is rather unfortunate. I prefer, callbacks can be fun, but legibility, that's kind of what we really kind of need.
Yeah, but callbacks, when I was young, you know, when things were objectively better, callbacks were like a thing in the background or an offhand sentence where if you knew the thing, you'd go, ah, cool. Not like the entire episode is about this guy that you remember from the last show.
I think Doctor Who still kind of has that vibe because, you know, they're like, we want to tell news stories and, you know, mostly self-contained other than a few things here and there. And then you get the weird season arcs that don't really make any sense. But in terms of like callbacks to the classics series, they tend to be on the more limited side. But also, who knows where Doctor Who's going at the moment? So, yeah.
Yeah, they sold their soul for Disney money, and now no one knows what's happening.
Yeah, and then it got crap. Anyway.
So anyway, back in Star Trek, which is not Doctor Who, except now it is because they can't keep their stupid crossover things out of anything. That's why I stopped watching frickin' Strange New Worlds. Anyway.
Yeah, I will say I generally enjoyed the most recent season, but that's a whole other rant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I saw the Trelane episode and was like, why did we remake the Trelane episode? And then did not feel the urge to go back.
I understand.
With the same joke.
Mm-hmm.
It even had the same joke ending. Like, we're stupid.
And, you know, no one will remember this the next time this happens.
Yeah. I will say, I guess I do kind of like the general idea that since all this stuff happens to Spock without Kirk there, every single time one of these things happens, he's just in, like, he's just like, why didn't you say anything? So you didn't ask.
Yep. It was not logical for me to bring it up at the time. Plus, you know, I had fun the first time. You get to have it too.
Anyway, back on this show. I don't think there's a lot in this episode, if I'm being honest. So that's why I'm getting on tangents and not paying attention.
And it's not just because Cyndi Lauper, right?
No.
Okay. No one's gonna understand what we're talking about, are they?
They mostly don't, probably. I don't think that's much of a departure from our norm.
All right.
Well, the Enterprise is en route to a starbase after having to leave their short planetside vacation early because a kid played a prank on his brother that turned into the brother dying.
Well, he's not dead yet, but he's going to be.
Yeah. So the older brother is getting a talking to by Riker in the conference room because he tricked his brother into thinking that he basically shot him for real with a toy laser gun. He had like a blood pack or something. I was like, oh no. And then his brother ran away and ate an alien fruit that was filled with alien parasites. And like, I get that this is not an amazing thing to do. It was not a like nice prank. But like now they're like, you killed your brother. It's like, why did you not teach the kid to not eat random alien fruit?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying this is the kid's fault, but like someone should have told this kid not to do that.
There's also the question of you set up, you know, like a family fun center next to the forest with the fruit that kills you.
Yeah. Why do we have a bunch of uncurable alien parasites?
Yeah, within walking distance.
Like, this is not a great thing to do, but this kid looks to be like 13, like at the oldest. This is not like a thing to blame this kid for.
So obviously the only real reasonable conclusion we can come to is that Riker's in on a cover-up.
Yeah, they aren't actually going because the kid's dying. They just need a cover story.
Well, I was thinking more, the Federation screwed up and Riker's here to make sure the kid blames himself for the rest of his life instead of looking deeper into it.
Yeah, because we're not going to get sued for a wrongful death lawsuit. Or
Exactly.
whatever the future equivalent of that is.
So, yes, you're going to feel so guilty about this, you're not going to even think about, the absurdity of our situation. All right, kid, now go talk to your brother and feel bad for the rest of your life.
So Data is taking the kid to sickbay to see his brother, and then he suddenly stops talking mid-sentence and reroutes to the bridge, where he wordlessly returns to his station and starts rerouting the ship.
And he's kind of a little obvious about some of this here. Like, he's just not talking to anyone.
Yeah, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then Wesley's freaking out because he didn't change course, and Geordi is freaking out because they were working on the engines and shouldn't be going to warp.
So, don't do warp 8. Certainly not warp 9.
And then all of the air turns off on the bridge. And they leave Data there to watch things since, he doesn't need to breathe.
Well, it does kind of look like Ava Picard, like, kind of double checks to make sure everyone's leaving, including Data, and Data's, like, right by the turbolift that no one ever uses.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. He also just gives him a nod, so this could just be common operating procedure. Anybody who doesn't need to breathe air stays on the bridge.
So, yeah, Data, you can sit here and enjoy. Bye.
So the command crew meets in engineering, and they decide that what happened was impossible.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of safeguards on the life support.
Yeah, so it's basically the air system there, which pushes air, fresh air into the system, started to suck it out instead. So it literally went from suck to blow. Wait, no, blow to suck. Wait, I messed up that joke. I'm sorry.
So are you trying to do a Spaceballs?
Yes.
So they're locked out of the engines as well. Data starts locking them out of the rest of the command functions by imitating the command crew's voices to get computer commands and shut off the bridge with force fields.
Yeah, so maybe this is a good reason not to have voice recognition be your password.
Yeah, like exclusively. That's a very dumb thing to be doing.
Especially since, they're not the first time this sort of thing's happened.
Yeah, this is why you shouldn't have voice recognition, fingerprint recognition, or face recognition be the key to your electronic devices. And this goes for everyone, not just the people in the future.
Go for the 2-factor if you can, but for like your phone, just have a password or something like that.
Yeah, have a password. It's fine. You don't want something that somebody can unlock with your unconscious finger.
Bingo. Yeah.
Picard and the bridge crew get to work on locking out the transporters so that Data can't leave whenever they get where they're going. Data realizes he needs to reach the transporter room physically in order to override whatever is going on. It's the you have to be there in person button.
Yes. Yeah, because there's like physical hardware he needs to now manipulate because, remote control has been severed.
Yeah. So he enters a ridiculously long code to lock out the system controls.
Which is kind of funny. And also, I'm pretty sure at least some of the password he gives is not accurate to what's on the screen.
Yeah, well, it's a 2-factor. He's typing it and saying it, and you have to do both at the same time. And then he sets up a cascading system of force fields between the bridge and the transporter room so that he can keep the security forces away from himself as he slowly walks down the hallway with everything being timed exactly because he's a computer.
I think this is maybe the Enterprise's security staff's biggest fail so far.
Yeah.
Because all they really need to do was, stand there.
I know, because they don't... the force field's only set up at certain intervals.
It's like, we just need to wait for when we're in the location of the force field, and so maybe a force field might come on while we're standing in where it's going to be, but hypothetically that's going to just kind of push us one way or the other, right?
Oh, you don't know. We've never seen this happen. Does it cut you in half? There should be some safety things in there, but we've never seen it happen to anyone.
And There might also be a good tool to use on this sort of thing called a phaser. So just start shooting the force field, and if it goes down, well, maybe some of that phaser energy will go through and hit Data for just a moment, disrupting his timing. And anyway,
You don't want to break parts of the ship just because it's being taken over. So Riker did somehow manage to get to the transporter room before Data, even with all of this, and he's just waiting for him on the transporter, which I do love, because he does that whole, come around the corner. It's like, no, not so fast, Data. I have interrupted your plan, and Data just throws up another force field.
Yep. This time around the transporter pad. It's like, oh, we should not have stood here. Whoops.
Then he turns the transporter back on, and he is gone.
Well, that sucks. I guess we're stuck inside this force field forever.
Yep. No food, no water, just maybe they could transport some food in there with him. Now, Dr. Crusher is now understandably concerned because they were on their way to a medical facility with a dying kid.
So, sucks for the kid.
Yeah, also the dying kid won't talk to his brother. So that's the subplot. The dying kid and his brother are not getting along.
Now, there is this sort of quarantine force field business that they're making use of to, I guess, keep the parasites inside the children from spreading. But, they're able to put their hands through it. So I'm a little confused what's going on.
The only thing I can guess is that because it's parasites, maybe the parasites have made him extremely immunocompromised. So it's not so much about keeping the parasites in,
but keeping everything else out.
And then it's just and then the thing is just like a, super sterilizer scrubber.
That kind of makes sense. My other thought was that the parasites would take over the child and have him go try to bite people or something like that.
Yeah, the parasites in question are xenomorphs.
Yes.
Old school xenomorphs that has a gestation period, not the new ones that pop out in 30 minutes.
The child's going to explode all over dinner, and then there's going to be a little xenomorph super child because it's coming out of a small boy, and it's going to become slightly larger.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be like the dog alien, but
yes.
Tiny, like the puppy alien.
So that's the alternative episode that we're not watching.
I mean, we don't know. They might not save. They might save the kid in time, so we never find out.
Yes.
That's the cover-up. Is that he didn't eat a fruit. He found a fruit that shoved eggs at him.
Yes, fruit, roughly round-shaped.
So Data beams down into a jungle because it's the soundstage they had. Mm-hmm. He enters a small house where he finds Noonien Soong.
We've heard about it before, but now he's here and in the flesh, played by Brent Spiner, and
kind of terrible old age makeup, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of this melted putty look to him.
So, old man does some android dentistry to break Data out of whatever he was in. Data has no memory of how he got there or who this dude is. Mm-hmm. He just wakes up. I was like, what the fuck, man?
I have no idea how I got here. Who are you?
And it goes, hey, don't I look familiar? And Data goes, well, you look a lot like Noonien Soong, but he's dead, so guess you're not.
So logically, this is impossible.
Soong goes, surprise, I had an escape route. Didn't think I'd be running away from a giant snowflake, but life's funny that way.
Well, I guess it does kind of vibe well with later Soongs to have, a certain level of paranoia going on.
Yeah. They're paranoid people.
Super geniuses who do all sorts of crazy nonsense involving super science, who are very good at escape plans. So obviously, they're set up to be supervillains.
Yeah, this is what happens to supervillains in the post-scarcity future. They just become scientists who never write anything down.
Yep.
The fact that he did this super high-level, groundbreaking, amazing cybernetics research and didn't write down enough of his shit for it to ever be replicable again.
It's, a little bit of a tragedy, really.
They didn't even say, and the crystalline entity conveniently wiped all of the computers because it eats data like those things from War of the Worlds.
There you go, yeah. But not data.
Yeah, just the, other data. Data. That's all
Computer
the stuff
data.
we wrote down about Data, is the data. And when Data contemplates his place in the universe, it's metadata.
when he's, behind an object that's hidden data.
So back on the ship, they find that Data took over the ship systems, but not the sickbay quarantine fields. So they can take some of the power from those and feed them back into the other ship to make the bridge go.
Just be careful. You don't want that xenomorph getting out.
Yeah. This works, but it does them no good because the computer is still completely locked out by Data's giant code.
And Picard's like, password? What? Seriously?
And they're able to detect one life form on the planet and a small unmanned ship entering orbit.
Well, could we wave at them from the window?
Yeah, find me some rocks to throw.
Help!
So, Soong has Data rubbing his stomach and patting his head.
Yeah, as you do.
He can. He's also disappointed by his inability to whistle.
Well, he's trying, but,
Then they have a whole thing. He's like, why was I created? He's like, I'm urged to create and procreate to reach a form of immortality. Sure, I guess.
Right.
This is like the most boring why I make art 101 speech.
which I guess Data needs to be stepped through, but...
It's literally the why I make art speech. This is, why did you make me? It's like, why does a painter paint? I don't know, dude. Just
So why did you make lol? In fact, she's kind of missing from this whole conversation, isn't she?
Yeah. So then the door opens, and in comes Lore.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, he's also spaced out, because whatever recall thingy he put in them was activated, and it does this thing where they just zone out and go to wherever he told them to. Data tells him to not revive Lore, but Soong goes, he's just like my son too. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
He just misunderstood, He's always, behaved and done what I told him, but, that can't be still, gotten around, right?
And Lore's just as angry and weird as ever.
It's emotional turmoil, made android.
So Lore throws a hissy fit about how he was not wanted and starts to storm out. And then Soong reveals that he called them both here because he's dying.
Well, that sucks.
Yep, man, I guess it was bound to happen eventually.
He's so old he's melting,
Yeah.
so,
He's not old. It's a skin melting disease.
I'm 32.
The Enterprise is in bad shape. They don't know how many digits Data put in the code, so they can't even start to try to get around the thing. Riker gets the idea that they might be able to trick the transporter into thinking that they're Data so that they can beam down to the last place that he beamed down.
Which is a clever plan.
Yeah, so that'll probably work eventually.
So I do kind of wonder if there's maybe an option here of unplugging the main computer. Surely you have some basic backups control systems after that.
One would think so. Lore's pretty upset because he was disassembled and left to rot, and Soong is not giving very good answers here. The colonists were afraid of you because you were unstable and needed to dismantle you and construct Data in order to work out how to fix you, but he didn't get back around to it, etc. It's pretty obvious. He's like, I was gonna fix you, and then a giant alien snowflake came.
Yeah.
Dude.
It was kind of not safe for me to be in that star system at all anymore, so,
I think that you could still have Lore have exactly the same reaction, even though you could establish that, he got left behind entirely because of his own actions.
Yeah. Because, Laura's not going to accept responsibility for any of that,
But Soong did make a chip for Data that will give him emotions, but he didn't know Laura was back together, so he didn't give him anything. Oh well. Also, conveniently, I'm too tired to do it now, so I will leave the room for an undetermined amount of time. You two get along now.
Yep, I'm tired. Talking to you guys for half an hour has really tuckered me out, so,
Yep. So O'Brien rigs the transporter into doing the thing that they said they were going to do, so that now they can transport down just in the nick of time.
Hooray!
Soong's woken up and installs the chip in Data, and he starts singing, and then he calls Soong off and wrong, which is a mean nickname that the colonists called him for some reason.
Yeah.
And oh my god, it's Lore.
Yeah. And he's pointing out how terrible of a nickname that was, too.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not all bad.
Lore was pretending to be Data. Soong goes, that chip wasn't designed for you. It's probably going to do something weird. And Lore goes, no, it's fine. I deserve something for a change. And then he throws Sung across the room. Activates a transporter by peeling up a button under his thumb.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, this was like the creepiest scene in the whole thing. This like pulls his thumbnail back and has a button.
Well, if you were an android, would you have hidden compartments like that?
I mean, probably. Like, watching someone pull their own thumbnail off is still a little unsettling.
Yes. Maybe like a toenail, though that might be even worse for some folks.
We're pretty close, so I'm going to go on my random song rant after the episode's over. But I do not know why they put this song in here, and it's been bothering me since I was a child. So soon after Lore leaves, Worf, Riker, and Geordi arrive. They find Sung bleeding to death. Data's knocked out in the other room. Worf's sexy fireman carries him in and Riker is able to turn him back on because he knows where his on switch is.
It's no longer on his side, but on his back.
Yeah. Sung tells Data how to reactivate the missing memories in a little file that he has in there so we can turn the Enterprise back on, which is a good thing he remembered to do that before he died.
Yes. The ship's no longer, bricked.
Sung says, "Go, leave me here to die. We can't have too many of your family members hanging around. It would get inconvenient for the writers."
Mm-hmm. So, go away.
Data asks to be alone and says goodbye in his own way. They return to the ship. They're able to get to the starbase just in time, and the brothers are running around playing with each other, even though one of them is still in quarantine. Data seems to have brought up some dinosaur toys that Sung had hanging around.
Yep. In fact, Sung had like a whole table covered in dinosaurs.
And like a T-Rex skull.
Yeah. So
where did you get those? Why do you have these?
He borrowed it from the Museum of Natural History.
Is he trying to make robot dinosaurs?
That would be kind of awesome. Wait, that's where a friend of mine came from then. Okay.
So Data's like, hey, now they get along. And Crusher goes, yeah, because brothers forgive each other. And that's where it ends, even though she maybe should have added that patricide complicates the whole forgive each other thing.
Yeah, there's maybe some things that, might complicate it all a little bit, that maybe you should be, I don't know, expecting some change in behavior first, like not murdering people.
Yeah, maybe you don't just go like, well, I forgive you for killing our father.
Yeah, unfortunately, Beverly in this episode just kind of really annoys me. Usually I like her character, but just this one.
Yeah, she's not really stressed out enough for this situation. She's the only scenes she has are, I need to set up the stakes. This is a time-sensitive thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't really care that this is happening. So there's a time-sensitive thing in a dying kid. She makes a bad joke about how the kid should stop standing up because he's dizzy.
Yeah, and I hate that joke.
And then she tells Data that he should forgive his brother for killing their dad.
So, I'm going to blame Rick Berman.
Like, she should be more involved in this episode because, she's the doctor and we have a sick kid and it's like her whole thing is we need to save this kid. And they're like, yeah, later. It's like, well, fine, as long as we get to it.
Yeah, we have to solve all these other problems first. I guess maybe this could have been an opportunity for Beverly Crusher to be, super doctor. It's like, yes, I might be a doctor, but I have insight on how to fix the ship because, maybe the problem is like a living organism sort of thing, and you've been approaching it as engineers, not like that. And Data's a little more clever than you give him credit for sometimes, But no, that's not what we got.
No, we didn't get anything. This should be an interesting setup, but it's somehow not. So Data gets to talk to his creator and learn things, and the most we get is, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, why was I created? Why were you driven to do this? Why did you want to make sentient androids and never write down how you created sentient androids?
Yeah.
'Cause, I guess.
I do like this episode, despite its kind of obvious flaws. But yeah, there are some obvious flaws here that are just really kind of, maybe not plot holes, but gaping wounds in the what's going on. Like a removed thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is not important to the episode at all, but the song that Laura's singing right before he transports away is a 1877 folk song written by an Irish folk songwriter about the Russo-Turkish War from the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not been able to figure out my entire life why they decided to put this song in there. Because it's like, it's not a super, super obscure song. Like people have heard it. But it's not like such an immediately recognizable song that you go like, oh yeah, of course, that song. And the one that Laura sings is an even weirder version of the song that has a different opening line than the standard version of the song. And I cannot for the life of me find any information on why the hell they picked him singing this.
That's a good question.
The closest I could get is it was part of a popular beer commercial in England at one point that people seem to remember it from that, but I don't know if that has anything to do with why the writers decided that it was this, or if the writers just said for him to sing a song and Brent Spiner chose it. I'm finding no information here.
Maybe they wanted to reference Tsarist Russia for some reason?
Yeah, it's such a strange... Sure, like the theme of the song is two macho dudes fighting each other to the death, which doesn't really seem to apply.
Because they're not fighting to the death.
They're not brothers. They're not related. They're just like a dude from the Turkish side and a dude from the Russian side.
Abdul Amir?
Abdul Abubul Amir.
Versus Ivan
Skavinsky
Skavar.
I've listened to this fucking song so many times. It's Ivan Skavinsky Skavar. And I'm pretty sure half of the, like, it says that it's probably comedic. Half of this is probably racist by now in ways that we've sort of forgotten because we're only sort of racist towards some of these people anymore.
Indeed. Well, there's, I guess, the sort of the racism of the time sort of thing that maybe doesn't really apply even then, but less so even now, and so it just leaves everyone confused.
Well, he calls Skavar a Kalnook at one point, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound like something you should call people.
Calling him a Muscovite kind of makes sense, I suppose, but that's not really a slur from what I understand. It's more of someone from the general Moscow region, somewhere near Moscow.
It was adapted into an MGM cartoon in 1941, so like this thing was around, but by the time this was written in 1990, who the hell had heard of this and why?
Someone who'd seen that the cartoon in the commercial.
Yeah, there was a cartoon and then there was a beer commercial that used the same tune, and that was in the 1980s, so I guess it might be that.
In fact, he was shouting huzzah. Maybe that's why it was used here.
Yeah, because somebody shouted huzzah.
Yeah.
And I still can't figure out what the initial opening of the song that's recorded and written down, and I've found repeated most around, is a completely different opening than what Laura's singing in this episode. And I've not found any kind of documentation of the lyrics that Laura's singing in this episode.
Oh, maybe this is an alternative version that's generated in the future.
Yeah, it's after this goes through a few more rounds of folk songification.
Yes. And, World War III, first contact with the Vulcans, that probably had some culture shock, and, a few other things happened.
As Tom Lear said, the reason most folk songs are so atrocious is because they are written by the people.
This does lead me to my preference for one version of Whiskey in the Jar versus the one that was recorded by Metallica.
I don't think I've heard Metallica's Whiskey in the Jar.
They call it Jarro. Whiskey in the Jar. No, it's Whiskey in the Jar.
What is
Come
a
on.
Jarro?
I don't know where they're going with that.
Yeah, what in the hell is a Jarro?
It's like just a weird, I don't know. You put O after jar as opposed to just there's whiskey in the jar.
It sounds like something they would just do in Australia. They're always doing that in Australia.
So whack for my daddy O. Whack for my daddy O. There's whiskey in the jar, but for some reason they want to put an extra O at the end.
I guess so it matches with Daddy-O?
Yeah, you don't need that. Come on. Makes it sound weird.
And I do like the vibes of this episode. The song has always confused me, and I have no idea why they put this in here, and it's weird. But otherwise, I don't think the song is not doing a lot, honestly. Like the episode's not doing a ton. It's like, yeah, you stole the Enterprise, which is kind of a cool tense scene. You meet up with your family, and then very little happens, and then they have to kill off Soong so he doesn't become inconvenient later.
Or did they? We don't actually see him die at the NGC.
Yeah. He doesn't show up again, though, except as a dream image.
But my fan theory is that he actually escapes and gets up to shenanigans, and that explains some unexplained things that happen in later Star Trek.
Okay, this is why we need to stop explaining unexplained things.
Because that way we could have crazy fan theories like mine.
None of the people who wrote this show gave a fuck if anything made sense for, 30 years. And then all of a sudden, now we're in the era of everything has to connect to everything else. And
but,
it's just dumb.
There is, something we kind of talked about a little bit, when we were finishing up the original series, that, canon, as they say, can be fun, but it also can be a hindrance to telling good stories. So, don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, now it just has to get into this weird idea we've got about how canon something is indicative of whether or not the people who wrote it cared enough about the thing to be allowed to write it.
Which is not really a viable thing, really, in terms of arguments. Because, someone can care about something a lot. They're focused on it. They're spending, years of their lives, day in and day out, focused on crafting this, a piece of art. And just because it doesn't fit with what your expectations of what the art should be, doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong.
No, now everybody has to have ownership over all pieces of media that they ever enjoyed. And
that's kind of awful, honestly. You just enjoy things, people. You don't have to, control it, too.
So, yeah, this whole...
Anyway, the Russia... Yeah.
This whole thing with Brothers didn't go anywhere, is my point. I'd say that they were setting up for something that happens later, but I don't think they even were planning that far, because Lore wasn't even originally supposed to be in this episode.
Yeah. It's well, we already have Brent Spiner acting with himself. We can complicate things even further, right?
Yeah. I remember when I first saw this episode, everybody was really impressed by, oh my god, look there. They have him playing multiple characters on the TV budget, and it's pretty seamless. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So it's still impressive for a TV budget. I'll definitely give him that. I saw Sinners a little while ago, so we've gotten a bit further in this technology.
Yes. Though, yeah, I will say that, in terms of the effects, it generally holds up. So there's, a few moments where it's that's kind of obviously a process shot, but most of the time it just kind of blends all together, and they're really clever about, body doubles and things like that.
Yeah.
Standing in.
There's only a couple times you're that's definitely the back of some other dude's head in a wig.
But if you can get past that, it works. Though, maybe they should have just given Data ruffled hair or something like that. He just never fixes for the entire episode. Put everyone in a wig. Hooray! So the Russo-Turkish War?
Yeah, apparently it's because Russia got butthurt by losing land in the Crimean War.
Mm-hmm.
This is what was happening. This is what was happening in the lead up to World War I. Everyone was just mad about things that happened in the last war, so they started a new war to take care of the last war,
which then caused more complications, which led to the next war.
Yeah. That's basically the whole thing.
Try not to do that, folks. Just in general, it's going to lead to bad times.
The whole thing leading up to the First World War was all just we've invented nationalism, and now we care really hard about this, and we have to take care of generational slights.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't actually as much of a evil dictatorship tries to take over like we had in the next one.
Yeah, it's more of a we've moved from people having personal grudges against each other. This king lord person, not liking that guy's face over there. It's oh, well, we still have a lot of monarchies and things like that, or effectively so, throughout Europe. And so instead of doing, the personal grudges, it's national grudges, because, I need to make sure to keep everyone riled up and angry at other people instead of, thinking maybe we shouldn't have a king. So, we're going to thumb our nose at the French or the Germans or the Austrians or somebody else entirely, and we have to get our bit of land back there that may or may not have people from our ethnic group in it. Maybe let's fight. Also, there's stuff about like national pride being a thing suddenly, and so if we let them take this land, we'll look weak. Oh no, they took the land. We need to plan for the next war so we don't look weak.
Yeah. Once they invented national pride, you can just justify anything.
Yeah. I guess kind of, someone who plays a lot of grand strategy games, EU4 especially, is like, all right, at this point, people get nationalistic, so you can just invade whoever. Okay. So the very mechanics of the game evolve at a certain point because everyone just gets, aggressive.
Anyway, even the people who wrote this episode thought it was boring, which is why they had to put lore in there. There was a quote, it's like, well, we have the dying brothers, and then we have Data meeting soon, and then it's just a chat.
I think it might have been, I think, more interesting if they didn't have lore show up until like the very end. Data and Dr. Soon have a in-depth conversation, and they bring up lore. It's like, what did you think about him? And it's like, what actually happened, et cetera, et cetera. We get some good reveals there, and Data has a conversation about it's like, okay, so maybe if I ever encounter him again, this is how things will go differently because I now understand him better. And then Riker and company show up, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, your ship used the file, whatever, bye. And then Soon's like, I'm gonna stay here, I'm dying, I want to live out my last days here, etc., etc. And it's like, oh, Data, I have one more thing to give you before you leave. And Data's like, okay, so everybody else skedaddle. And then Data's like, okay, so I'm going to talk to the doctor. The doctor's like, I got the emotion chip for you, but it's not quite ready. Come back in a few weeks. And then Data and everyone leaves, and then Lore shows up. ...
And then we never talk about it again because it's still network television.
I'll be here for your chip, old man.
I think that this is one of those traps that you can learn from if you're writing things. Because the stuff that I was seeing about this is like, well, Data meets Sung. That should be interesting, right? That's like an interesting premise.
Okay.
And
what do we do with
they're
it?
just like, yeah, that's it. I feel like there's
just start writing.
There's often a thing that I see happen with stuff like this. It's like, okay, that's an interesting thing. I'm sure something interesting will come out of that, and then if it doesn't, you just wind up with like, I don't know, nature of art, I guess.
Yeah. That's kind of dull, but okay.
That's like you have to have an idea of what it is you're trying to communicate. You shouldn't just go like, here's an interesting scenario, and I'm sure an interesting thing to communicate will happen. Yeah,
so, these interesting ideas, these we have a premise here, pitches here are, I believe what's called a high concept idea. However, a high concept idea on its own is not enough. You need substance there to make good use of it.
Yeah, because like, what exactly is this episode trying to say? What is the theme of this episode? Brothers forgive each other for killing their parents?
That's a terrible theme, actually. Or maybe brothers forgive each other for trying to kill each other, but parents are off limits. Maybe that?
Because I can't really point to what the hell the themes of this episode are.
Maybe don't build a family fun zone in a deadly forest?
Yeah, that seems like a good one.
Okay, well, let's go with that one.
So anyway, I feel like I've mined a lot of anything in this. I even complained about a song for 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I complained on a slightly different song, also folks music, but, Metallica's interpretation of it. Damn you, Metallica! So, I do enjoy a lot of Metallica songs, though. Just not that one. Anyway.
I was debating whether I should try to record a version of this song, but I didn't think it would fit into the episode anywhere, and it's actually kind of a lengthy song.
Well, if we ever do a Patreon bonus thing, maybe we can do that for that.
Yeah, so I can sing possibly old racist song.
Maybe we should get like sensitivity readers, but for old songs.
I mean, I think it's usually safe to assume that anything written more than 50 years ago was just racist.
Yeah, sometimes in obvious ways, sometimes in less.
And most things after that was, too. Most stuff after that also was, but like maybe it was more aware of it or was commenting on it or something.
Oh, well, there are plenty of songs that are just about sex instead.
That's true.
This thing is good. It is awesome. Let's have some. It's actually kind of hard to be racist when you're just, really horny.
I don't know. I've seen people do it.
Unless you're horny for racism, which is, a whole other thing.
Yeah, I think that we get that sometimes now. So
yeah.
It can be a little bit of an issue.
Man, this part of the future sucks.
Don't worry. World War III and then Vulcans.
Yeah. So if we survive another, 50 years or so, be 40-some maybe, we'll be good.
About 40 something. It was 63. 2063 is first contact with the Vulcans.
Not that long now, everybody.
Except to keep everything working out, Strange New World had to invent time-traveling Romulans who were trying to push everything back for some reason. Or like time-traveling humans that are trying to prevent the eugenics wars, and then time-traveling Vulcans that are trying to start the eugenics wars. And
Well, this does explain in Star Trek, at least, why all the time travelers are not trying to kill Hitler instead.
Yeah.
They're all trying to kill Super Hitler.
And they can't even do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably work better if you wanted to prevent the eugenics wars. Take out the people who popularized eugenics.
There we go. Throughout various points in history, it's not going to be at you do it at non-pinch points where there's something zany going on otherwise, and there you go. Suddenly, the timeline's less awful. Yeah. So, time travelers, here's your assignment. You need to go back and find the various people that publish books about eugenics in the 1800s.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised no one's ever done a time travel story that's like they went back and wrote different influential science books.
Yeah. Because you gotta, everyone wants to play with the great man theory of history. So, we need to go find the big bad and then kill them before they become the big bad.
Yeah, what if we go back in time and teach people in the Middle Ages how to farm better so that they don't all start starving to death and invent colonialism?
Yeah, that might help. It's like, oh, you want something that's only exclusively over there? Well, how about you have this other thing locally, that's good or better, and you enjoy it and don't need to go enslave people. But alas.
Yeah. Then we wouldn't have to invent racism, but that's a whole other thing.
Man, now I want to be a time traveler too.
I've been having some discussions with people about this. I think it's ridiculous that the way we've set up. I understand it's just how academia works. You have to work off of the stuff that people wrote before so that you can write what comes after, and you have to acknowledge all of that academic stuff, etc., etc. But when we're looking at history, we have a whole set of people in the Victorian era who fully admitted and wrote down that they just made up everything they said.
Yep.
And we still have to work from them onward.
Though I am always, of course, reminded of Einstein's, I guess, seminal work on, electrodynamics of moving bodies and things like that. And he's like, yeah, here's a thing, and, there's barely anything cited in it because, we just kind of think about some important things, and, we all know about the Maxwell, equations at this point, so... I do a thing with this. It's like you don't need 10,000 citations in every paper. It might be useful for a very niche thing, but sometimes if you're doing big ideas, you can make use of kind of well-established things, but also, you need to be careful not to just be pulling things out of your ass.
Well, I think that's the thing. If you're doing physics, then you're just showing people math equations, and they can go, well, that math equation holds up or not. If you're doing history or social science, you kind of need to be like, well, here's where I came up with this idea, so I didn't just pull it out of my ass, which is why they cite so many people in social science things. I was reading like an interesting paper the other day that was just explaining a phenomenon that somebody's noticed on several like related internet things, and they cited like 200 different things in there. The half of the fucking text was citations because they had to like show their work so hard. And this is just like, I've noticed that these three people are doing a similar thing that might be worth classifying together.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe there's a better way to be setting up citations for your sources.
I mean, this is just how social science works. Yeah. This is you saying, I am a social scientist and I've read all of the big books.
The biggest of books.
Anyway, now we're on a whole other tangent. I just think the way we teach history is stupid, and the Victorians made up everything they said about history.
Yep.
Like, admittedly.
And it's sort of like ridiculously so, because they're like, I totally read this book that you hadn't actually read, and I am citing that as explanation for this pet theory I have about this other thing that's only tangentially related at all to the thing that book was about that I didn't read.
Yeah, the moral of this story is never trust a Victorian.
Yes. That's the real moral of Brothers. Yeah, but in modern physics, do cite your sources, but be reasonable about how many you want to be including there, because sometimes you can just cite a paper that kind of does a review, because then it will mention all the other papers that you would be citing otherwise. Don't cite all those other papers otherwise and also the review paper, because that just seems redundant to me. Anyway, so do you want to learn some about special relativity?
Sure.
Are you familiar with the Lorentz factor?
No.
That's the fun bit that creates all the infinities and things like that. It's all about the 1 over square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared.
Okay.
So with c being the speed of light and v being your velocity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your velocity equals the speed of light, that's 1 over the square root of 1 minus 1. And that's bad.
And then the universe explodes.
Yeah, not quite. It's more of there's your effective momentum is being modified by this factor. So if you try to accelerate your object to go faster, you need to start putting more and more energy into it in order to speed it up closer to the speed of light. And so you get this thing where suddenly it's like, well, in order to reach the speed of light, we need to now apply infinite energy into our object. Though we are already like 99.99% there already.
Sure.
Just sort of that last little bit has just become so insurmountable we can't quite reach it.
All right.
So now you know a little bit about special relativity. Now, general relativity, let's talk about the Riemann curvature tensor, all right? Now, I'm assuming you have yourself well-versed in tensor mathematics at this point.
Yeah,
Captain,
so now
right?
we've gotten into a physics lecture.
I should probably stop here. Feel free to segue to something quick before I
couldn't get past the part of physics where you have a pendulum on a train.
Oh, yeah. TikTok, everybody.
But now I think it's time for the galaxy's favorite game show. Woo!
Hey everybody, welcome to the galaxy's favorite game show. We have various contestants that seem to look pretty similar. They're same face everywhere. Oh gosh. They've been racking up some points throughout this episode and getting themselves into some winning positions. So let's kick this off with the Evil Twin Prize, which goes to Dr. Sung for making identical-looking androids. The fool. He was just setting himself up to be, well, fooled. What does he win, Gepwin?
Sung wins a paint set so he can write, like, L and D somewhere on the robots. It's like any distinguishing characteristics at all, even a little.
Indeed. Maybe, I don't know, different eye colors, maybe different pigmentations, different hair color maybe, or maybe just, as you point out, a big, D or L, and then you're good. Though L, L on your forehead, that could lead to other things. Same with the D.
Yeah, there's like a song about that.
Yes. Brent spiders start coming and they don't stop coming.
I mean, that is true.
Yes. Anyway, our second prize is the Space Boot Prize, which goes to Data for basically putting this on the Enterprise. What does he win, Gepwin?
Data wins some kind of security measure on this thing. It's like, I understand the space future where we just have undivided trust in everyone. Like, maybe someone should think about how you need more than one person to take over the ship. Because this
that would be making sense.
Keeps happening.
And sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes, well, it's just abject failure of security. But then again, Worf's in charge of security at the moment, and he's more of a, I'm going to go somewhere and hit people sort of a security officer, right?
Yeah, well, at some point they should maybe do we're going to have Data take over the ship and see what happens, like a White Knight hacker.
Well, that might be interesting to, like, as an episode alternative to this one, just have, what seems to be Data just going, off kilter and taking over the ship. It turns out it was an exercise the whole time.
Yeah, that would be fun. We don't want to do fun things like that.
It'll be like that previous second season episode, but it's you don't know what's going on until the end. Anyway, our third prize is the Medical Malpractice Prize, which goes to Dr. Crusher and her awful, awful joke. Just the worst kind of joke for a medical professional to tell. If someone wants to raise their arm, Beverly, and they can't because they're in horrific pain, don't tell them just not to raise their arm, because that's going to tell people that, oh, you need to live with this thing that I have not addressed at all. Come on, Beverly. Gepwin, you need to stop me from ranting any further. Please help me before this goes off kilter.
She wins the Pulaski medical indictment for being a bad doctor, which is probably what happened to Pulaski. Pulaski was a terrible doctor, and she got fired. Now Crusher's being a terrible doctor. We just can't stop on this show.
Yeah, so come on, get better at writing doctors, people. Damn you, Rick Berman. That's all I got, Gepwin.
Rick Berman doesn't like doctors. All right.
That's all I got, Gepwin.
All of you
Save us.
identical datas for joining us on the Galaxy's favorite game show.
Yeah, I had to rant about that at some point.
It's never a great joke. Doctors, as a rule, not great at jokes. Probably not the appropriate time to be telling people a lot of jokes.
Indeed. So, especially that one.
Yeah.
It's just the worst.
Speaking as the person who 3 separate times in my life has had doctors pull people in from other rooms going, hey, you got to look at this. Doctors are not the best in these kinds of situations.
Okay, so you're fascinated by a thing, and maybe it's a teachable moment if it's something really weird, but still, come on.
Well, that one was because I tore the cartilage in my knee in a weird, unique way in 3 places that they'd never seen before.
Ooh, that sounds painful.
Only at the time. It wasn't later. Then my knee started locking up, which is why I had to go see a doctor about it. And then later I learned that the surgery that they do for that kind of knee injury is possibly completely unnecessary and useless.
Oh dear. That's frustrating.
Because, it's very difficult to test surgery. For all of these, we're not testing medicine properly people because double-blind studies, they've never done a double-blind study on surgery because it's impossible.
Yes. So, well, be careful with surgery. obviously, if you have a gaping wound, you might want to get that sewn up. But
well, also, like,
sometimes
stop thinking you've heard the word double blind and you now know how science works.
Yeah. So this suddenly got a very sciencey episode suddenly here.
Yeah, because this is what happens when there's not a lot to talk about, and I've been watching so many people talk about that stupid Science is Broken book.
Is it?
No. It's just a bunch of alt-right people complaining that they got kicked out of academia for sexually harassing people.
Ugh, dang it, like, just the worst people are just, go around and, make all sorts of ridiculous claims, and anyone who's called out, calls them out for being ridiculous are completely ignored by a particular segment of the population, and the party line story is never questioned. And dang, I'm annoyed at this point in time here.
Yep. Well, it's annoying time. Next week we get to talk about I don't even know what to call it. A bunch of stuff I don't want to have to talk about.
A personal identity and links, cultural links.
Yeah, more like cultural racism and the way that it feels like it gives you the ability to decide what's best for children.
Yeah, that's frustrating
feels
too.
Like
but
there's
in a different
some
way.
Things that feels like there's some bad historical things that might, fit in there.
Indeed. I'm guessing something involving, native peoples, the Americas.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Just something about that, sounds a little familiar in a distressing kind of way.
Yeah. So we look forward to that next week, right?
Yep. For that one, Suddenly Human. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not the worst, but I see what they're trying to do with the episode, but I feel like it gets around to it in such a strange, backward-ass way. Though
I will give them credit for the snazzy vest jacket sort of things they got going on there.
Yeah, they do have. This is like one of the more stylish alien races.
Yeah, good on you for that, aliens.
All right, so yeah, next week we're doing Suddenly Human, which continues our family saga into racist territory.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, the ice cream incident. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and listen to Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Digital Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Google Play, and many more places where podcasts can be found. If you enjoyed our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on YouTube as Gepwin and on Pillow Fort. You may find Dr. Isix, on YouTube and Blue Sky. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN, and Quirky Dog by Kevin MacLeod. Check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. You may also find Watchers of Tomorrow on Tumblr. Make sure to share the experience of Watchers of Tomorrow with your friends, loved ones, enemies, alien overlords, and your doppelganger from the mirror dimension. Have a good day, and ahead, warp factor heckin' fast.